Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Adel Hamazia, here today representing Chatham House's MENA program, but my claim to fame, my primary affiliation today is being a close friend of ISPI's. I would like to welcome you all to the third edition of the Youth Forum contest, co-organized by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and ISPI. Prior to taking you through the structure, the sequencing for today, where we'll be hearing about entrepreneurial, creative destruction, SDG-centered and centric thematics and projects and solutions, I'd have the great pleasure of honoring and welcoming the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Luigi Di Maio, to the stage for opening remarks. As a Brit, albeit a dual national, I must also bow my head and congratulate you on Italy's win against England earlier this year with the football. Benvenuto sul palco. Grazie.
Thank you very much, and distinguished guests, young leaders, ladies and gentlemen. It is a genuine pleasure for me to introduce this initiative today. Let me thank ISPI and all the institutional sponsors, the OECD, UNIDO, the representation in Italy of the European Commission, Assocamere Estere, and the Boston Consulting Group for making this third Young Youth Forum possible. Transition is the main theme of the year's Med Dialogues, and young people are the driving force of change. For this reason, we feel the duty and responsibility to involve them in defining the ways to address current challenges. I'm thinking in particular of challenges that most directly affect our common future and the future of our planet, such as climate change and economic and social transformations. In this crucial year of post-pandemic recovery, Italy has played a key role as presidency of the G20 and as co-chair with the United Kingdom of the COP26, and has been resolute in putting young generations at the center of the multilateral agenda. In the G20 framework, we have focused the three pillars, people, planet, and prosperity, and our endeavors for a better recovery around the needs and expectations of young people, actively engaging with them in the Youth 20 process. In the framework of the COP26, we welcomed in Milan about 400 young representatives from all over the world for the Youth for Climate event held back-to-back with the works of the pre-COP26. It has been a unique opportunity for the young generations to drive the ambitions of world leaders. It is also no coincidence that we have placed young people at the center of Italy's contribution to the Conference of the Future of Europe. Last week, we hosted in Rome the EU-Balkan Youth Forum, bringing together young representatives from the area to work on specific topics including environment, climate change, and circular economy. Today, also as a contribution to the Conference on the Future of Europe, we focus on another geographical dimension that is even closest to us. We are delighted to host young people from the Mediterranean region as we cherish the opportunity to exchange ideas and proposals aimed at creating an area of shared prosperity. Indeed, citizens, and in particular young citizens, are the main drivers for building a common belonging between the two shores of the Mare Nostrum. People under the age of 25 currently account for about half of the MENA region population and are the real and main agents of change, a change leading to a more prosperous and predictable future for themselves and their communities. The active participation of young generations in the political and democratic processes in some MENA countries testifies their ambition to drive and shape their future. However, unleashing the full potential of young people in the region requires significant investments to create opportunities for learning, for social and civic engagement, and for employment. In this spirit, the promotion of students' mobility and academic cooperation has always been a key pillar of Italy's relations with MENA countries. We want to invest more in this crucial area. Nearly 1,000 cooperation agreements are currently in force between Italian and universities of the region. Last year, over 13,000 students from the area enrolled in the Italian higher education system. This year, many students enrolled in the Italian universities thanks to scholarships funded by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, account for about 30% of total fellowships awarded to foreign students. Many students are also actively participating in the program Invest in Your Talent in Italy, that we launched in 2006 in collaboration with the Italian trade agency Unitalia, Unioncamera and Confindustria, and in partnership with leading Italian companies. Our efforts are part of a common endeavor to relaunch the partnership between Europe and its broader southern neighborhood to tackle together common challenges and transform them in opportunities for the common benefit. Indeed, as we discussed with European and Mediterranean foreign ministers in Barcelona earlier this week, we cannot look at the future of Europe without linking the future of the Mediterranean to the European destiny. Last February, the European Union launched a new agenda for the Mediterranean and an ambitious economic and investment plan for the region worth 7 billion euros, which stand as a blueprint for our common path based on the preservation and promotion of the Mediterranean common goods. Sharing their benefits and working together to fulfill our new agenda will be key for us to achieve prosperity through sustainable development. The environment is certainly one of the most important Mediterranean common goods as it affects societies across political, economic, and social dimensions. The title of today's event, Green and Sustainable Solutions for the Futures, reminds us of the pressing nature of the challenges we face in this regard. Innovative ideas by young generations are pivotal to address these challenges, and we are proud to reward them today in a true spirit of Euro-Mediterranean partnership. This is part of Italy's leading commitment to foster and support innovation at the global level as a drive to sustainable development and growth. Last October, in the framework of our G20 presidency, we launched in Sorrento the G20 Innovation League to provide a platform where startups, investors, corporates and policymakers can come together to devise and discuss solutions to some of the most urgent needs of our societies. Let me also add that in a few weeks we will officially open InnovIT, the Italian Innovation and Culture Hub in San Francisco. Indeed, from the painful experience of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have learned the importance of innovative ideas for sustainable growth and inclusive societies. In this respect, let me stress that the digital and green transitions must be the cornerstone of our common strategies, as they are closely interconnected. New digital means will be crucial in helping mitigating the effects of climate change while offering new opportunities for social and economic inclusiveness. Through your new ideas and valuable projects, you are therefore contributing to reducing economic inequalities, reducing the impact of climate change, and promoting a social culture based on tolerance and inclusiveness. The Mediterranean has a long and rich history of shared innovation. We learn from history that when the people of the two shores have been able to cooperate, human creativity and innovation have blossomed. Throughout history, exchanges of ideas and knowledge by young people across the region have left a distinctive mark in our shared culture and civilization. Therefore, my message to you today is we count on you. We are here to listen to your confidence, your hope, and your ambitions. We aim at bold outcomes in our endeavor to build our common future. and no one can be as ambitious as young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you for the wonderful remarks that speak to the heart of the relationship between the two shores, connected perennially and forevermore. Since its first edition in 2015, the RoMed Conference has promoted the Youth Forum with the purpose of gathering young, promising leaders distinguished for their innovative ideas and projects. This year, it is proud to be hosting a third edition of, as you're aware, the Youth Forum Contest, Green and Sustainable Solutions for the Future. These are, of course, anchored around the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, and 3 SDGs in particular have been, we've anchored this particular initiative around. Those being clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, responsible consumption and production. And of course, these are very key and central themes, particularly in the Mediterranean. For me, the region's entrepreneurial spirit, sometimes we could say we had almost a cultural amnesia when you think about the traders of Hadramaut that used to travel across North Africa, MENA, to as far afield as East Timor, where the president was, of course, of Hadrami origins. So this entrepreneurial nous, this spirit, has been, it's in the DNA of this region, but it has to be unleashed, harnessed, and fulfilled. And unfortunately, sorry to bring a little bit of negativity in, firm level dynamics have been quite weak in the region in terms of firm growth, the incentive to become formal, the incentive to informalize, and then the challenges, of course, to grow into that middle, or that missing middle that we have in much of the Mediterranean, particularly in North Africa and the Levant, if I may say so. It's a sine qua non entrepreneurship, creating jobs, prosperity, and of course, quote unquote, leveraging transitions, be them energy, climate, youth, demographic, or otherwise. This event would have not been possible, and I'm just echoing the Minister, but doing it from my side, with the significant support and contributions of the Youth Forum partners, the representation of Italy to the European Commission, the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, hi Miriam, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, Asocamarestro, I hope I didn't butcher that, that was good? Perfect. Out of 10? Perfect, thank you. And Boston Consulting Group, BCG. In total, we had 52 applications which were submitted, received, and assessed by a panel of jurists. Following this, the top 15 projects were selected and underwent training and vocational guidance opportunities before resubmitting their projects, so refining and more. These were then whittled down to a final 8. So yes, we are now here at the quarterfinal stage, but there won't be a semi-final. We'll be going from quarterfinal straight to the final. It is now my honor to leave the stage to the 8 finalists of this year's Forum Contest to present their innovative projects selected. But just before I call up our first colleague from Egypt, Masar Dunya, just to tell you a little bit about the structure. So the structure of the panel is organized in alphabetical order, where each participant will have around 5 minutes to present their projects, followed by a maximum 3 minutes period of Q&A from the jury. Short questions, short answers. They say this is a Da Vinci quote, but simplicity is indeed the ultimate sophistication. So short and sweet, may I request. And as a reminder, after all of the presentations are over, the audience will be asked to cast an online vote for the best project. The online vote will be pooled, weighted nicely, with the jury vote and the live audience vote to pick the winner through valence and diversity. So we now kick off with the contest proper. I'd like to welcome Mohamed Abdurrabbo to the stage to present his G20 project from Egypt. And could we start with a round of applause, everybody, to get this started? After you. I shall give you a 60 seconds warning when you're at 4 minutes.
In fact, my name is Mahmoud Abdurrabbo.
Mahmoud Abdurrabbo, shukran. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mahmoud Abdurrabbo. I am from Egypt. Our project is goodtide.org. The problem of freshwater shortage is the most serious challenge facing countries in Middle East and North Africa. During the last decade, this problem became critical and serious because of 2 reasons. One is the growth in population, and second is climate change. And in such militarized zone like Middle East, aggressive wars can start because of a conflict on water, especially in Nile Basin and also between the 5 countries of Jordan Basin. Freshwater shortage has 2 solutions. One is water filtration, which comes with very high costs. The second is water management and balancing consumption. Gutai project is investing in water management to balance consumption and reduce wasted water. And it will be effective in regions with poverty in fresh water. Gutai project is investing in water management to balance consumption and reduce wasted water. Wasting fresh water is a serious problem. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, the average family can waste about 7 liters of fresh water per week. This means more than 30,000 per year for one family. Gutai is a software to be integrated with digital water meter in houses and other buildings. It monitors water pressure and water consumption, then it analyzes them using artificial intelligence. Gutai as software has main 4 capabilities. First is monitoring water usage and water flow. Second is discovering little leaks and huge leaks made by explosions. Third is warning user if a leak occurred. Fourth is executing a stop of water flow if a huge amount of water is being wasted. Besides these technical capabilities, Gutai as a civil organization has the main 4 objectives. First is raising the awareness of citizens of how much water they may waste and how important is every drop of fresh water. Second is encouraging authorities to replace old meters and the system with more efficient ones to save huge amount of fresh water. Third is inspiring manufacturers to use artificial intelligence in water meters to create smart water meters for houses and other buildings. Fourth is pushing investors to invest in water management ideas and researchers. The project has 2 challenges. First is the lack of infrastructure, especially electricity in some regions. Second is the shortage of financial resources for some authorities. Development is in its first stage, testing in emulators. Next stage will be marketing. We will target motorhome and boat manufacturers, as well as water meter manufacturers. Third stage will be hardware integration. Gutai will be customized to work with specific hardware of a company that will be affected by a marketing campaign. Project feasibility isn't huge because we will pay for developing the application on emulator, and we will pay also for marketing. But the cost of integration between the software and hardware will be covered by the hardware company. Gutai is a hybrid organization and focuses on social impacts. Thank you, everyone.
So can I now ask for a question or two for our candidate, our competitor, who would like to pose the first question? Please. Your name and affiliation too, thanks.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Andreya Carapalesi from Boston Consulting Group. Thank you for your presentation, very, very interesting. Have you looked for other technologies that do the same? Have you compared whether there is anything already in the market that is doing this?
Okay, in fact, there is no thing like that. But I mentioned motorhome and boat manufacturers. They are using similar or a little bit similar systems. It's using software in digital water meter. But in houses, there is no thing like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have one more? Could you tell us a little bit about the mechanics of what does this look like from a financial feasibility perspective in a couple of sentences?
Okay, it doesn't cost a lot because we are paying for developing the software on emulator. And we also will pay for marketing. Developing the software isn't a huge amount of money, but marketing depending on the market, depending on the prices of marketing or the region where we are well market.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Mahmoud. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Minister. See you. So now we move on to Pola Sketani and the project being the potential for cool roof application to improve the energy performance of uninsulated conventional roofs of houses in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. Now that was a mouthful. Please. 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Pola Sketani from Kurdistan region of Iraq, and my project is about the potential of cool roof to improve energy performance of uninsulated conventional houses in Kurdistan region of Iraq. Imagine if you live in an area where the temperature reaches somehow around 47 degrees during harsh months of summer, and your house is not insulated at all, and you don't have like full hours of electricity. So imagine how unbearable and how uncomfortable this will be. So this is the situation we have. We have lack of insulation in all of the house, including the roof. The roof and one facade is most exposed element to the sun because houses are row houses, so it's enclosed in 3 sides. We have long, harsh summers during May to October, so unlike today's weather room, it's very, very hot there. And we have low quality construction due to fulfill housing crisis after post-war. And also, the government can only provide 14 hours of electricity per day. So you cannot have your air conditioner, your AC continuously on. Moreover, housing sector consumes 60% of the total energy consumption, a very, very high compared to the other countries. So the main objective of this initiative is to making residents of the houses thermally comfortable, reduce the energy consumption, and thus less CO2 emission will be released to air, and finding a cheap option for minimizing the energy consumption. Next, please. So what is the solution? The solution is by painting the roofs with a white color or albedo, which reflects 80% of the total solar radiation. And it's not just like reflecting the heat, but also it will maximizing the time like the heat transfer to the interior of the room. By maximizing it, you will have less heat inside of the room. Beneficiaries are, the first beneficiaries are residents in order to have more thermal comfort, for sure. And the second beneficiaries are low income and middle income householders because they pay less energy bills. Also, we will have like more clean environment. And the fourth beneficiary are the government because they can provide more electricity hours as the stress of the energy grid will be less. Next, please. So the cool roof, in this positioning, we put the cool roof with other 2 alternatives, which is extra insulation layer or adding new roof. We see that the cool roof is both low price and easy to install compared to other 2 alternatives, which are high price and difficult to install. So coming to the actual energy, actual prices, the price of the cool roof is about $4.5 to $7 per meter square, while the price of the extra insulation layers is about $28 to $32 per square meter. So very, very expensive, the other option is, while our cool roof option is about like $5 per meter square, and if we can minimize this cost further if we do it in participatory project where all neighbors came together, help each other applying the cool roof because it is easy to apply. Regarding the impact of the project, doing it using energy simulation programs like OpenStudio and Energy Plus, and I found out that we can minimize the energy consumption by 26% of the houses. So regarding the development of the project in other MENA regions, the project is relevant to other Middle East and North African region because most of the countries are sunny and hot throughout harsh summers. However, the degree of the impact depends on several factors like how the building practice in this country and specific weather conditions, whether they have insulation or not. The impact in Kurdistan houses and in Iraqi houses are very much bigger because housing quality in there is very bad. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paula. Very, very interesting project. Another interesting project. Could I welcome a question from, we have a question for a colleague. Name and affiliation, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Andreya Carapalesi from UNIDO. Well, congratulations for the project because it's very simple but really effective in these areas. I'd like to understand which is the business model that you propose directly with the clients or with the constructor. So at which stage and which is the business model of the project?
So the cool roof material is already, in the other countries, is already available, but in Kurdistan region, people don't use it. So I will buy this material and bring it to Kurdistan region. I will try to doing some practice for the workmen and people. If I share like householders to apply it, I will also try to learn them how to apply it because it is easy, like 2 coating layers in, let's say, in 1 day. So the business model is the material is available, but it's about how to apply it and how to take care of it.
But I mean, you address your service directly to the final user, to the end user, right?
Yeah, to the end user,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Did we have a second question? Yes, we do. Name and affiliation, please. Thank you.
Hello, this is Pietro Gagliardi from the OECD. You mentioned also participatory approaches in your project. Can you just explain briefly what you mean?
So it means involving the residents, the end users in the project. Because if the workman is applying it, the price of the product will be a little bit higher. Because it is easy, so we can say, let's say we take a part of the city, we try to involve the people, the residents, the owners of the houses, learn them how to apply that. So instead, if it's applied by, let's say, laborers and workmen and workwomen, it will be applied by residents, and by that, residents will learn like new things, will minimize the cost of the product, and also they will have like more awareness about sustainability and the materials they use in their house.
Great.
Thanks.
I think just it's more of a rhetorical question / remark. When you refer to the consumption savings on the energy side, it might, and you also refer to scalability, it might be worth thinking about what this means from an energy pricing reforms perspective. So what does the saving look like at local municipality level? A simulation like that could really maybe entice local government.
Yeah. So because people use less air condition, that means the energy consumption will be less. So 26% on each household. On a city level, we can say in the housing sector, it will be also minimized by 26%. So it is very, very huge because in country like UK, housing sector will consume only 20% of the energy, while in Kurdistan regions, it consumes 60%. most of the energy consumption is either came from cooling or heating, and in hot countries it came from cooling down. So if we increase the insulations and this kind of materials, we use less cooling, and by using less cooling on the municipality level, on the city level, we use less energy too.
Great. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Masks on and off. We now welcome Selin Tavtin, whose project is named and titled Vegan Leather, Solutions for a Painless Green Future. Selin. Thank you. 5 minutes. Huh?
Hi. My name is Selin Tavtin, and I am coming from Turkey, and I am going to talk about my vegan leather project for a sustainable and painless green future for all of us. We can continue. These are my award-winning leather products. These products are sewn with vegan leather, which is this leather, and it's proved that these are sewable and wearable and very healthy for the future and water consumption. We can continue. These are my processes to create this vegan leather. I just needed 3 stages that you can see as a fermentation in containers. It's very important because I need water for that, but I will take back these waters and dyeing in the hoops with the right part and softener process. And this is the very special process because without softener you can't use this vegan leather. We can continue. And this is my shopping bill actually, and I just need 3.5 euro for 1 meter. But this is just retail prices because I just need water, tea and sugar and kombucha yeast for creating this vegan leather. But I have a great opportunities for doing that. We can continue. Continue the presentation, please. We will take back our water, used water, because you know I have a fermentation process. We have actually 3 different business with just this business. First of them, creating vegan leather and sell it to the another producers, and creating a vegan leather brand, fashion brand, and also we can sell our kombucha tea that let us to recover our sanded water. And it's very, very useful for the water consumption actually, because we spend our water first, but then we take the water in the health sector actually. And you can see the investment into biodesign for now. You can see 5 different and biggest companies in the world, and they are also making with vegan leathers. They are creating vegan leathers, but they are using mycelium. I use kombu yeast. This is the difference between these 2 of them, and because they need so many energy than I don't need any kind of special machine or energy, and they waste again water, but I can reuse my water that I used. So we have 3 different business in this project, and this is very useful for our greener future and water consumption. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Selin. Who would like to pose? We have another question, please.
Hello, still Andreya Carapalesi from Boston Consulting Group. Thank you very much. Presentation looks great.
Thank you.
What I would love to understand whether you thought how much is this somehow replicable from somebody else. So what would you do in order to make sure there is not any competitor that can somebody copy a solution that looks so simple that could be replicated?
Yeah, actually I have copyrights already, and this means I am the only one in my country who is trying to do this. I know a couple of artists trying to do this also, so because this is so simple really, but no one wants to use any kombucha yeast for the manufacture for the textile. You know, Turkey is the biggest textile place maybe in the world, but they are just using the fabrics. No one interested in vegan fabrics actually. So I am just the only one for now.
Super, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Did we have a second question?
Actually, I really want to show you this material is really very stretch, acting like real genuine leather, and there is no any zero wasted water. And we can reuse the basic simple kombucha yeast. We can use it twice or 4 times. And after she dead, I mean yeast, when she dead, you can put it on the soil and it will go back to the earth again. So it's also recyclable, very recyclable project.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the first question, is there a Mediterranean specificity to this project, or is it just born in Med, born global? How do you sort of frame this?
Actually, it's very, very useful for Mediterranean because of the water, actually, because I'm using water for doing that. The fermentation process, after the fermentation process, I got the vegan leather, but also I get the kombucha tea at the same time. So I have a different type of two business in one hand. So it can be, yes, a big project for all the universe, and it's very useful for my region because we have a water problem really in the Middle East, you know.
Great, thank you so much, Selim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We now go online, hybrid, Zoom, COVID, new variants. And we have Francesco Bajos, who will be taking us through his project Plastico, or Plasteco. Francesco, where can we see you? Ah, here you are. You have 5 minutes, Francesco. I hope you can hear us clearly.
Thank you so much. Just let me know if you can hear me and I'll start immediately.
A little bit louder would be perfect.
Okay, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen and esteemed judges, our world is suffering. But please, can you, next slide. Okay. In an environmental context, countless of animals are dying yearly due to the excessive plastic waste. In a construction-based context, the market is costly, heavy, and dangerously polluted. Next slide, please. But a solution is found. Previous one. But a solution is found with Plastico. Plastico is an eco-friendly startup that aims to eliminate plastic waste by incorporating them in the production of environmentally friendly and sustainable bricks to be used later on in construction or for decorative means. Next slide, please. The road to obtain a Plastico brick starts with a collection of material such as water, stone, gravel, cement, and most importantly, plastic and other recyclable materials. After this step comes the shredding of plastic using very specific energy-efficient machines, then batching, mixing and molding, and finally curing. Here you can see the very first prototype for Plastico brick, proving that our special mix is indeed feasible and doable. Next slide, please. In order to have further proof, this prototype underwent a crushing test, which resulted in a 5 MPa crushing strength, almost 2 times stronger than the average concrete brick. Next slide, please. The worldwide concrete market is estimated for $10.1 trillion, and in Lebanon, it is estimated for $500 billion, with $95.5 billion for the hollow brick, which is our specialty at Plastico, which we aim to conquer at least 2% in the coming 3 years. In order to do that, Plastico will be targeting civil engineers, contractors, BREEAM and LEED architects, and of course, municipalities and governmental entities. So now you may ask me, why choose Plastico? Well, with Plastico, you will have a 10 to 15 overall cost reduction. You will have 2 times stronger material, and you will have a 30 to 35 overall weight reduction in the overall brick. So in comparison to our regional and international competitors, Plastico hits all the important boxes: cost efficiency, eco-friendliness, and the presence of important insulation properties in our products. Next slide, please. My name is Francisco Bajos, creator and CEO of Plastico. Plastico's journey began in 2020 with multiple local and international competition entries, And now, after 2 research phases, Plastico is once again paving the way to a healthier future with new groundbreaking construction products. Our next step would be testing in order to further prove that our products are really feasible and valid. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Francesco. We do have a question.
So, hope you can hear me. Still Andrea from Boston Consulting Group.
Sorry, Francesco, can you hear us? Can you hear that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, super. So I think this is very interesting because one of the problems we have right now is about construction and decarbonization of cement. So having a solution that doesn't use the classical technology is very, very interesting. I think it's a little bit ambitious, if I may, because 2% of a billion market, it's a billion, some billion of dollars in the next few years. I think it's a little bit ambitious, but hope you can achieve that. My question is, I think this is a very regulated market where if you want to use these bricks for construction, you need to do some tests, but there are a lot of certifications. And I see that a lot of companies today do have problems to make sure that even though they satisfy the requirement, they do have the certification needed for the material to be used for construction. So long story short, my question is, how are you going to deal with that?
Francesco.
Definitely. Yes. So basically, we're still in our testing phase, at the end of our testing phase. Once everything is 100% agreed on, and we are set to start our construction company, we will be getting all the certifications required in order to start producing the brick and hopefully selling them to people.
Just to echo the point, Francesco, could you say a little bit about the markets that you're thinking about? And have you considered any opportunities, for example, in the reconstruction space in MENA, where actually certification may not be as stringent in other markets?
Definitely. So our main targets in Lebanon are basically, as I mentioned in the PowerPoints, are architects, civil engineers, and all of that. But basically who we are targeting are people with low income, people who can't actually afford to buy the very costly normal brick. This is one. And yes, of course, we have thought of that market as well. And hopefully after we finish our testing phase, we will be able to delve more into that market and do our more research about it, and hopefully we can get the required either certifications or confirmation to allow us to do that.
Great. I believe we have one last question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andreya Carapalesi from Unido. I would like to understand if you set any agreement for the supply of the plastic, and if you need any sorting for the kind of plastic that you need for the project.
Definitely. So yes, we have agreements with green NGOs here in Lebanon. So they will be providing us with the plastic, as well as we will be doing our own collaboration with governmental entities and other NGOs as well, and communities. Can you please repeat the second question?
No, if you need any sorting for the kind of plastic,
Definitely.
Or any kind of plastic is good.
Definitely. So we don't use any type of plastic. We have a specific type of plastic, but it is 100% recyclable. And also, although plastic is our main ingredient, we also are using other recyclable material, which all will be sorted before going into the production phase.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francesco. So I believe we are the halfway stage. So I'd now like to move to Ekin Seçilmiş and Anil Rose and the project titled Project Limpsumption.
Good afternoon. My name is Ekin, and today I'll be presenting our Project Limpsumption on behalf of my teammate Anil and, of course, myself. So our project aims to reduce the overconsumption trend in MENA region and the problem is scaffolded, so we have to start by doing a stakeholder analysis to see where to start. And we can see that it's current residents of main region which are of the utmost importance because they have the agency to act on all other stakeholders in the schema now and in the future. So our project aims to incite current residents of main region to be more responsible and get more responsible consumption habits by using a circular process feedback mechanism. So our project consists of an application and education modules, as can be seen in the next slide. Our application asks questions to its users and determines whether the person is over-consuming or not, and giving suggestions about how to do it and other insights about the current problem. Then we have some buttons which would show how the world would look like in different scenarios of consumption, which are being updated with the current data from relevant resources. And we also have a progress tracker function, which helps us determine whether a certain amount of reduction of consumption has been achieved. If this has been achieved, we're unlocking more modules, so we're actually rewarding the user for for consuming less. We also have educational modules. Those two are integrated within each other, which is first delivered to teachers, who then deliver to their own students, so that we have an exponentially growing audience of users. The most important part in educational modules is that we're giving laurels, daphne, or other seeds or saplings of Mediterranean flora. So we're showing students what actually we're trying to save, and we're actually rewarding children for their own personal efforts for a better future. We actually had a pilot project. You can see the figures on the slide. It was small, but it did yield some results. We've seen that a vast majority of teachers indicated that the education packages were effective, and they would be willing to integrate it in their education models, education style and program. Also, after a 1 month of survey, we've seen 1 month of observation period and various surveys. We've seen 30 to 40% of increase in personal awareness, knowledge of the issue, feeling personal responsibility about the problem, and willingness to take concrete action among students. So in the next slide, you can see our minimum viable product on which we're relying right now. As said before, we're actually targeting educational institutions. And the project is working in a self-sustaining and self-promoting way. So the schools are buying the educational modules integrated with the app, so no conflict of interest. Then it's teachers who are delivering the education using the app to their students, and teachers can track the progress of their students, and then after a certain amount of effort have been reached, students are rewarded. We also have a timeline that would love to stick with. Would like to create a community which is bounded by the common pursuit of a better Mediterranean region, so would like to implement a chat function on which we're still working. Would like to expand, so we're customizing in terms of language, customs, and education systems. And our ultimate goal is, of course, the widest possible application of our project, so we will be advocating for its inclusion in different public education institutions and hoping to have at least some results by 2025. Our finances, we're expecting a total annual revenue of 42K from educational institutions we have been speaking with, and costs will stem from software, rewards, and pedagogical assistance. So why it's important? Because we've seen that it's been impactful. We did raise awareness for the project. We did leave positive feelings and hope within its users about the possibility of a better future among its users. And we know that it will reduce our consumption in the region in long term, as well as creating a community bound with the same responsibility for the Mediterranean region. Why it's important in this region? Because we're actually one of the most vulnerable regions for this problem, and connecting like-minded youth is important to have more opposite policies in the future for a better environment. Thank you.
Before I ask colleagues for a question, this is not criticism. It's polite. If you were trying to sell this to somebody in what we call an elevator pitch, in a few sentences, how would you describe your product? Because there was an information overload.
Oh, so my elevator pitch would be project consumption to educate young generations and create just a better future to limit the consumption.
Great, thank you. Did we have a question? We do, yes.
Thank you. Hello, thank you very much, Pietro from the OECD. Just a quick question. You said that you already ran a pilot, which is great, and you showed some of the successes. I was just wondering whether you also, what you learned from these experiences with these pilots in the schools, what went wrong that you think could be improved next time in your future activities?
Thank you very much. Actually, we've learned that it's really important to adjust the information we're delivering to the level of students we're tackling with. This is why we're actually including a pedagogical assistance adjustment part in the next steps. Because we're not teachers, we're having teachers a lot in our project, but that's probably the most important thing that we've learned. It's really hard to pass on important information at a very basic level.
Could you say a little bit about variations from the countries or regions that you're looking at? You know, what have you found? Is there any specificities? I see Turkey up there, but is there anything? Could you say a little bit about that?
Sure. So we, of course, started in Turkey because this is where we are from, where it's easier to implement things. But as said in our timeline, we'd like to expand. We already have the contents in Italian, French, and English. So that could be applicable to certain countries, but we don't. We really need assistance about the customs, for example, natural heritage and monuments, and culture regarding natural resources in those countries. So it would be more opposite.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much. I think you passed that on. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Before I invite our next candidate colleague on the stage, I've seen a few people fanning themselves. Is there something we can do about the temperature in the room? Maybe just bringing it down a little bit, literally, not metaphorically. Now moving on to our next candidate, I'd like to invite Rene Mitlej, who will be taking us through Yen. Rene, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, I'm Ren Mitlej, the founder of Yen. I'm from Lebanon, and in Lebanon, 40,000 premature deaths occurs due to fossil fuels, while $1.7 trillion are spent on fossil fuels since 1995. Yet, we only get 9 hours of power. Imagine, we're in 2021, waking up in the morning, no electricity, no battery in our phones, nor no battery in our laptops. Solar and renewable energy is not an option anymore. That's why we're introducing Yen, offering 3 new technologies: the solar AC, the geothermal energy, and the renewable energy Ecommerce. We'll start first with the solar AC. The solar AC is economical as it saves up to 60% on energy bills, efficient because the hotter it is outside, the cooler it is the AC, affordable because it has a price of $400 while it saves up to $700 per year. The technology behind the solar AC lies in using the heat pump to exchange the heat from the air, and also by using the solar tubes that have an efficiency of 80% compared to the solar panels that have an efficiency of 20%. So we'll be selling these units for households. Anyone who has a traditional solar AC, he just needs to upgrade his standard AC by replacing the outside unit with this unit. The second technology is the geothermal technology, and it's also by using the heat pump, because heat pump does not only exchange the heat from the air, but we can also exchange heat from the ground and the water as well. And here's the concept of geothermal energy using the consistent underground temperatures. So we'll be installing heat pumps for households to heat the household in the winter and cool it in the summer. Next, please. So during the winter, the heat pump absorbs the heat from the earth and pumps it into your home. While during the summer, the heat pump absorbs the heat from your home and exchanges it with the cool subterranean temperatures. And the third, this is our second technology. And the third one will be the renewable energy e-commerce. It will be the first marketplace for renewable energy gadgets, such as solar phone charger, rechargeable speakers, solar power bank. The idea is to feed the business from the start and to share and spread awareness on renewable energy and benefit from it anytime, anywhere, while being 100% eco-friendly. Next, please. So our business model will have many revenue streams. First, the e-commerce. Second, the consultancy services, the installation of our offerings, and also the, next please, and also the educational services on the long run. Also, next please. So our impact will be as follows. We'll be offering new job opportunities. We'll spread awareness on renewable energy and its importance. We'll have also an act on behavioral change. Next. We'll reduce carbon footprint and have a scalable business model, so we'll help also in the economical growth. And we'll have unique value proposition with diversified solutions for everyone. Next, please. So our financial forecast proves the success of the company starting the first year and increasing exponentially. Next. This is our roadmap. We'll start first with the e-commerce, then we'll start with the solar AC, aiming to have a red unit to be sold in Q3 2022, and then we'll start with the first plant of a geothermal heat pump in Lebanon, hoping to have everything ready and being in the growth stage by Q1 2023. Next. And this way, Aryan will be contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals number 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13. Next. Finally, this is our team. We're a passionate team with a proven track record and the vision to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. We have a question already. We do, yes.
Hello, Andreya Siri from Boston Consulting. Thank you very much for the presentation, very interesting. Actually, I have two questions, if I may. So the first one, you talk about solar tubes and then heat pumps, geothermal heat pumps. Are the two somehow connected, or they're two different solutions? This is the first question. Then the second question I have is about the business model, because you mentioned that most of the revenue streams come from the e-commerce, then consulting services, and so on and so forth. Just wanted to understand whether when you talk about e-commerce, you mean actually you're selling the assets like the solar tubes and these kind of items, or you don't do that, you just, let's say, do the consulting services on that? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So first of all, this standard AC has a heat pump inside of it. So this heat pump is the one who do the heat exchange from the air. So the idea here is that instead of using the electricity to take this energy to work, the heat pump can work, we'll be using the heat from the solar energy. So the idea is more in using the solar tubes and the AC and not the electricity. And this way you can use the solar AC as long as the sun is out and you have this heat. So this is for the first question. And the second one, we have different pillars in our project. So the first one is that we'll be selling these units. So the outside unit of the solar AC will be selling them to households and businesses to use them instead of the standard AC. The second one is that we'll be installing heat pumps and geothermal heat pump underground for households and businesses also. So we'll be, this is the second offering that we'll be giving. And the third one, it will be a website in which we'll be having these products, renewable energy products, that anyone can purchase and get them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask why would there be an incentive to go through your platform when you have, for example, Chinese players at some of the mega exhibitions and conferences in, say, Dubai on a very regular basis?
Because it's not about, we'll be offering these gadgets, small gadgets, power bank, and so on, and we don't have a marketplace for renewable energy. So it will be, this is the niche, our niche. It will be only for renewable energy gadgets. So that's why we don't have such marketplace. And also, I just want to say that we'll be targeting first Lebanon, then MENA region, and mainly the underprivileged countries that need such solutions.
Great. We have one last one.
Yeah, hello, Andreya Carapalesi from UNIDO. I would like to understand if in the next year, in the coming years, you would like also to integrate some components, at least the ones with no maybe added value from the technological point of view, involving local carpentry or local companies in your country.
Technology like what? Sorry, I didn't get you right.
No, so you are not a manufacturer for the all products, right?
I will be manufacturing the solar AC and the heat pump because I have another startup and we built a machine in our workshop, so
okay, but
we can do the manufacturing.
Kind of components from the software to the panels to also the pipe.
And the solar AC we don't need software, so we'll be able to manufacture it in our workshop.
I think he's referring, where do the gadgets come from?
So
the gadgets, yes, we will be talking to suppliers and then put them on our website. We don't manufacture the gadgets.
Okay, so we are talking about with almost 100% made in Lebanon. Is it right?
The solar AC, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. One big question for startups, I think, in general, is always the B word of bandwidth. But we have no doubts in your abilities and your team. We now go to the penultimate presentation, Soumeya Bouchouareb, who will be taking us through, this is possibly the biggest mouthful of all, the removal of organic compounds by biocomposite magnetic beads in batch and continuous mode from wastewater. And I'm sure you'll be translating it into English as well for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Soumeya Bouchouareb from Algeria, PhD student, project engineer at National Sanitation Utility Office, Ministry of Water Resources. Today, I am presenting to you my project about the removal of organic compounds by biocomposite beads, magnetic beads in batch and continuous mode from wastewater. Water and sanitation are at the core of sustainable development. However, in recent decades, overexploitation, pollution, and climate change have led to severe water stress in locals across the world and today, according to the UN, 2.2 billion people lack access to safely managed drinking water, and more than 4.2 billion people lack safely managed sanitation. This project is about making water safe to recycle, release, or reuse into the environment from on one side, and from another, they use the bioorganic waste for a greener energy that can be converted into heat or electricity, and for a more efficient. So the problem is how to reduce the pollution, the concentration, how to reduce the concentration of pollutant in industrial and urban effluent to acceptable limits before discharging them into the environment, and use the bioorganic to generate energy. The solution is the removal of organic compounds by biocomposite magnetic beads in batch and continuous mode, and the process will be open for a combination with encapsulated microalgae beads for an optimized efficiency and biomass and energy production. This, sorry, vous pouvez ralentir. Voilà. For a project conception, the industrial and urban waste and water treatment plant, the added step is the removal of organic compounds by biocomposite magnetic beads in batch and continuous mode to finally have clean water to recycle and reuse or release, and green energy recovery from bioorganic waste. Voilà. Okay. For the financial, bon, parce que je prononce pas la budget, le coût, bon, based on published research studies, the estimated cost for this project is divided between construction cost per square meters, 100 euros per square meters for an average cost, and operating cost, alginate beads, 80% of total cost for an average of 40 euros per kilogram. Okay. Why is reuse important of MENA countries? Most of the MENA region is characterized as arid or semi-arid. It has 6% of global population, but only 1% of freshwater resources. Consequently, this is a need for a new, non-conventional water resources, such as wastewater, to meet the increasing demand. OK, merci.
Thank you, Soumeya. And do we have a question for Soumeya? Could we start by you breaking it down for us a little bit? Again, there was quite a lot of information there, technical background. Could you simplify it a little bit? So if you were explaining it to somebody with less scientific capacities, if you could. Yes.
About wastewater. This project is about wastewater treatment and green energy recovery by the removal of organic compounds, of organic compounds by biocomposite magnetic beads in batch and continuous mode from wastewater, by synthesizing a co-effective, environmentally friendly and sustainable biochar adsorbent from agricultural solid waste, and preparing magnetic alginate beads to encapsulate activated carbon for the evaluation of its effectiveness in removing organic and inorganic contamination from the effluent by the process of adsorption. The preliminary tests were carried out synthetic wastewater, yes. And the process will be open for a combination with encapsulated microalgae beads for an optimized efficiency and biomass energy production. Donc, si vous permettez, parler un peu français. Donc,
of course.
L'objectif d'installer un photobioréacteur pour l'élimination des nutriments et l'élimination des traces des polluants présentes dans les eaux usées ou les rejets industriels. Voilà.
Thank you so much. Did we have a question? Yes, we have one question here. En anglais, en français.
Merci beaucoup pour ta présentation. C'est Pietro Gagliardi de l'OCDE, OECD. I'm going to switch in English. Thank you very much for the presentation. Just to understand, so you would be selling the mechanism to treatment plants?
Oui.
And in that case, what do you think are the advantages for them as buyers to have this product? If for them, compared to the cost, what do they gain from it?
Je peux répondre en français?
You can, but also, when you refer to the 100 euros, compared to what? What was that compared
Par rapport aux photoréacteurs normaux qui ont été déjà installés au niveau des stations d'épuration, la différence entre ce photobioréacteur et les anciens photobioréacteurs, c'est on va encapsuler les billes d'alginate, encapsulant le charbon actif avec les algues pour éliminer en même temps les polluants, les métaux lourds, les colorants, les composés organiques, inorganiques et les algues pour éliminer les nutriments. pour la première chose, qu'on peut éliminer les polluants et les nutriments. La deuxième chose, c'est par rapport à l'exploitation, par rapport à l'entretien, la maintenance des installations. Quand on applique cette technique, on n'a pas besoin de nettoyer les installations parce que les matériaux sont encapsulés dans les billes d'alginate.
Self-cleaning, yes. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. We now move to the very final presentation of the Youth Forum Contest 2021, Green and Sustainable Solutions for the Future. And we go virtual, and we go to Manar Waritni for the project Mon Cactus. Manar, over to you. 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
شكرا بزاف. Do you hear me, please?
We do.
Thank you. Buongiorno, everybody. My name is Manar Waritni from Morocco. I'm very pleased today to represent my project Mon Cactus in this very important event. So let me start with some important questions for us. Did we know that more than 9 of 10 people around the world breathe highly polluted air, and that water scarcity currently affects nearly 700 million people in 43 countries? Also, that we are all surrounded by mobile phones, Wi-Fi terminals, and connected devices. All these devices send and receive radio frequencies and thus emit electromagnetic waves. What do we need to solve these problems? And what if the solution of these problems was one? Yes, one green solution that our team has combined. Plants, but not any plants. Plants that are able to purify the air with the reverse photosynthesis and to absorb electromagnetic waves. So let me tell you first about our developments. In 2018, two nature lovers, my mom and I, passionate about gardening and plants, we decided to implement the idea of creating the Mon Cactus project. 1 year after, we started participating in fairs, exhibitions, and private sales like Christmas markets. And post-COVID, in 2021, we created the women's cooperative Mon Cactus. In what concerns our, next please. In what concerns our articles, they are intended for all the people, all the ages, and all the genders, for home, garden, or office. We adapted our services to the needs of our customers. We offer now some special services like customizations of orders, home delivery, and gift packaging. Most of them are recycled. As you can see on the pictures, we have coconut, old dishes, and textile wastes. Concerning our approach, we pretend to use green energies. We use and reuse the rainwater actually, and we collect and recycle products and materials. And we participate in a circular economy through sustainable and local supply by handmade and artisanal products. Now, let's start the most important part, our impact. Yes, the environmental impacts present in the first side, the reduction in water consumption in our production units, and in the second side, the improvement of ambient air quality. These impacts are produced by women, yes, by women who are illiterate and who don't have any professional qualification. They live in poverty with very modest family incomes. Today, they are productive. They produce and generate 100% eco-friendly products. Now we are 7 persons in the team, and we are looking forward to extend it to in the near future to become about 15 to 20% with 11 women illiterates in the cooperative and 2 employees, youth employees. Add to this, that our business is collaborated with some Moroccan artisans as well in different regions in the country. from the concerning our development process, from the last submission in May to this program, to this month, we achieved some important goals, like the creation of the legal status of the women's cooperative, the diffusion of the cooperative success story nationwide by TV reports and interviews. From the middle and long term, we are negotiating for stands in shopping centers and the train stations. And herein again, more women members in our cooperative. And for the production unity, we are working to have an agricultural land to create the green plant nursery with green technologies. Concerning the relation between our projects and MENA region. So our project is very relevant for the MENA region because it's based mainly on supporting illiterate women who occupy big parts of MENA society. And Monk Actus Projects is also supporting traditional economic field and collaborating with its professionals like the Moroccan artisans and the local Moroccan artisans. Monk Actus Projects is also a simple contribution on Morocco's effort to promote green economy and green jobs, especially after hosting the COP22 in Marrakesh. Monk Actus Projects can be also modeled to follow and duplicate in other countries, for example, in the Mediterranean countries, as all the region's women share the same passion for plants. So thank you.
Thank you, Manar. We will have one or two questions for you, and I'm looking around to see if we have a specific question for you. If not, I'll just pull one out of my pocket, one I made earlier. So if you could tell us a little bit about, I mean, the vast majority of businesses in the region are family businesses. You know, how does this look like from a cooperative perspective in Morocco? And what does quote unquote competition look like? Are there similarities in other cooperatives? And what is your kind of USP, if you like?
Thank you for your question.
We can't hear you so well, Manar. If you could salt. That's better. That's better.
Thank you. Concerning your question, so our cooperative, there is a lot of cooperatives in Morocco, but not working with plants and gardening. We are I'm an agronomist engineer, and I work in this thing. I can be sure that no other cooperative exists in Morocco and do the same thing here.
And what does financing look like in terms of the pooling of financing, or I don't want to use the term microfinance, but what does that look like in the cooperative space and for you?
Concerning the financial model, to be honest, we started our projects with very modest financial resources by our own funds, and we have just submitted our file for bank financing for store and for some raw materials.
Thank you, Manar. We'd like to give you a round of applause all the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manar. That went very quickly. That was very interesting. So I'd like to thank, well, first of all, let's give a round of applause for all of the presentations. There was a lot of work. There was a lot of work behind the scenes, not only from the convening side with ISPI and supporting partners, but also, of course, I'll take this off again, but also our candidates, not only those with us today, but all of those who submitted interesting presentations. So now the time has come to vote for the best project. In order to do this, the idea is that the live audience, i.e. you sitting here right in front of me, can scan the barcode that is on the back of the chair, which is in front of you, which will take you to the online platform, and that's where you can, of course, cast your vote. For those who are attending the contest virtually, you can find the form on the right of the online platform to select the best project, singular, not plural. While we process the algorithms, formulas, and all of the technical stuff. For those who've made this event possible, and we've mentioned our supporting partners earlier today, I'd like to welcome the supporting partners to the floor to say a few words, present their initiatives and projects on youth empowerment in the broader Mediterranean, but with a sort of focus on green initiatives. While you vote and engage, you'll also simultaneously double task and listen to our supporting partners. And to that end, I'd like to invite to the stage, first of all, Miriam Alam from the OECD, who is the head of the MENA OECD program. Miriam Alam. Merci.
Thank you, Ade. It's always very eloquent moderation, and I think you will all join me also in applauding him for this fantastic job. You're bringing a lot of energy to this contest since its inauguration. But let me also welcome you all, and in particular our 8 finalists. I think you should be commendable for this fantastic initiative that you are doing, and I don't want to be in the shoes now of selecting them. I think you all deserve to be the winners. For me, you are all winners. And I would like to also take a moment to thank ISPI for organizing this fantastic meeting, the youth contest and the Med Dialogues, and Italy for being the co-chair of the MENA OECD governance program for its great leadership. Our meeting today takes again place in the context of continued concerns about the impact of the COVID pandemic and its socioeconomic effects on people's life across both sides of the Mediterranean. And OECD findings, in fact, shows that the COVID crisis will have a long-lasting repercussion on the most vulnerable in our societies, and hence also on young people. I think it's very important to stress this. These impacts reinforce pre-existing structural inequalities in the MENA region, where, for instance, young youth are 5 times more likely to be unemployed than adults. We also see in the MENA region, as you know, a record low level of trust among young people in their government. Youth tend to trust their government less than their parents. In fact, 28% trust the government. Each year, the Youth Forum contest showcases, despite the challenges they face, promising young leaders and innovative ideas, and showcase that innovative ideas and leaders are plentiful in the region. And as it's always said, talents, ideas are spread evenly across the world. Opportunities are not. And hence, I'm very, very pleased that the OECD has put forward a draft recommendation that is precisely called creating opportunities, creating opportunities for young people, better opportunities for young people. And the recommendation is a kind of GPS on how to empower young people and what governments can do to put in place the right structures and capacities to deliver positive change for the youth, be it on the governance side, what the administration needs to do to deliver better services, what they need to do to connect better with the sectoral policies, or looking really into the nitty-gritty ingredients of what it takes to have a good employment policy. Hopefully, this recommendation will be adopted in 2022. The COVID crisis, on the other hand side, also presents, if you like, as we always say, to build back better. And the responses and recovery plans are actually providing an opportunity to address systematically the needs of young people and future generations. However, according to a latest OECD study that we have done, only 16% of the countries surveyed, reviewed, have used frameworks to assess the distributional effect of their COVID recovery measures across different age cohorts. And this is particularly important to look at it from also in the MENA region, from the inequality perspective, where inequalities between age cohorts are extremely high. In countries, and I think this is a very important business case, in countries where age inequalities are lower, citizens tend to express higher levels of life satisfaction. Hence, empowering young people and their initiatives in partnership with government across the region will continue to be a top priority for the OECD, and you can count on our continuous support. I wish you a nice meeting, and I keep my fingers crossed for all of the 8 finalists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miriam. Miriam and her team do excellent research. I highly recommend that you consult the OECD MENA website, especially on some of the topics that we've discussed today, vis-a-vis entrepreneurship, jobs, digital divides and dividends, haves and have-nots, jabs and jab-nots, et cetera, et cetera. I'd now like to move to our next supporting partner, Andreya Carapalesi. I think I said that okay. And he's the investment and technology promotion expert at UNIDO. Andreya, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon to everybody. Very nice to see this hall full of young people. Many thanks to ISPI also for the invitation and for involving us in these outstanding initiatives. I'm Andreya Carapalesi from UNIDO at TPO Italy, the Investment Technology Promotion Office of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Our specialized agency, as far as you know, has a headquarters in Vienna, 50 field offices all around the world, many of them in the MENA region, and promotes industrial development for building autonomous industrial chains in emerging countries, giving a key role also to green tech, that is the sector at the heart of this initiative. Speaking about our office in Italy, we have the unique mandate to support private sector, directly private sector. Generally speaking, United Nations organizations are as a top-down approach are just considered an intergovernmental organization. Our role is to cover this gap, working directly with the private sector, single companies and also associations in emerging countries, promoting investment opportunities, technology transfer initiatives, capacity buildings in many sectors, especially in the sectors in which Italy excels, such as also green tech and circular economy. Well, namely, we consider sustainable investments, applied innovations and technologies as strategic drivers to unlock the untapped potential in emerging countries, turning challenges into opportunities. That is more or less what all these candidates for the world of today, for the contest of today did. As a matter of fact, these ingredients are fundamental to catalyze new flows of investment opportunities, which enable the capacity of many countries to leapfrog into the future, and while facing also climate change challenges and leveraging also the role of the private sector for a new paradigm of sustainable development. Through our intervention, so we try to escape from the logic of non-profitable cooperation, shifting from aid to co-development, and paving the way also for a more impactful role of the private sector also in the innovation, so supporting not only traditional companies but also startups. For many years now, we have positioned our office in Italy as mentor and advisor for many startup ecosystems in Italy and abroad, supporting also the matchmaking between also the vibrant and the very interesting ideas coming from emerging countries, also with Italian counterparts, creating the basis for win-win synergies to reduce poverty and face the other challenges of our planet, starting from the climate one. Well, in this context, I would like just to share with you two concrete
initiatives that is we are carrying out as an Italian office. We're implementing one of the most important projects funded by Italy in Iraq, for example, supporting private sector. This project is funded by Italian Development Cooperation and is focused on supporting local enterprise development center, one also in Erbil, in order to support also vocational training for young people and other kind of services for local companies, supporting local industrial zones, and also fostering international business partnership, sustainable business partnership between Italian companies and Iraqi ones. And then to conclude, I'm also very happy to briefly introduce you a very new initiative that we proposed, we launched with on the Mediterranean diet with FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, and our partner from Future Food Institute, aimed at in supporting local agri-food system in Morocco, Tunisia, and again Iraq, intervening in the most iconic and traditional sensitive supply chains of the Mediterranean diet, providing capacity development and also technical assistance to relevant local institutions and companies and smallholder farmers, focusing on youth and women, and then scaling up innovative solutions, leveraging the local content and the role of the private sector in developing sustainable and inclusive partnership. Because the public sector and the international organizations, of course, has a critical role to play in enabling good conditions for improving primary sector. But the most disruptive ideas and innovations, not only in green tech, not only in agribusiness, but in many sectors, are business-led. So thank you very much for the attention. I hope the best for the continuation of this forum.
Thank you so much, Andreya. One last presentation before we announce the winners. That doesn't mean don't focus on another Andreya. We have Andreya Siri, project leader on climate change and sustainability practice with the Boston Consulting Group. Looking forward to hearing his remarks. Andreya. Thanks.
So it's usually very hard to be the very last one because everybody's pretty tired. So I'll try to be as short as possible. So I want to join my colleagues to say congratulations to all the contestants. It was great presentations, a lot of energy, so it was great. As I said many times, I'm Andreya Siri from Boston Consulting Group. I work mainly for climate change and sustainability in my company. So you can imagine how thrilled I was when I was asked to join the jury for this project, where we had both sustainability and green joined with youth. As you may have seen from the COP26, the climate change is a topic that is becoming more and more relevant, and the youth all are going to be more and more vocal about it, and I hope it is going to be even more in the future. Now, in BCG, we don't only work on climate change, we also work on youth empowerment. So today I wanted to present you just a simple case that we have performed some time ago for our country in the MENA region. I cannot disclose the name for the confidentiality reasons, but I think it provides a good example of how we work in BCG and what kind of activities we have done. If I may ask you to go to the next slide, please. So basically, we had the government that came to us and asked us somehow, they had an objective a goal to empower youth and to manage sports. And while the government was doing very well in managing the sport development, they were lacking in the agenda of youth. And so the main problem they had is that they actually didn't even know how youth was in the country, considering that this was youth was 30% of the people of the country. So this was a relevant portion of the people that were completely, let's say, not managed. And what we were asked as BCG from the government was somehow to help them answer some questions like how youth people are, what should we do?
So what have we done? And this is, next slide please, a standard approach we have, and you may have also on your project. So basically what we've done, as all BCG projects, we start with a baseline to understand what we're doing. So what is the starting point? So basically we engage the youth in order to understand how they are. And then of course we tried with both the youth and the government to identify a vision. What is the vision that we have to provide the youth? And then of course, as you may have seen and you're doing in your project, as you know, all the cases, of course you then have to do a sort of business plan and implementation plan. But no, I think the most interesting part is how we managed to contact the youth people and to understand how they are. If we go to the next slide, please. So basically, we did not perform the classical surveys that you usually do, because we have a problem. So most of the times, people don't say what they really want because of whatever reason. There are a lot of barriers, language barriers, personalities may not want to disclose each other. So we had to identify a way to somehow make sure the young people would open themselves. So we created some workshop rooms with focus groups, and where we created a sort of playful environment where we did some role playing, some sort of images matching, so on and so forth. So we tried somehow with some tricks to identify what are the real archetypes of youth that we have. And then if we go to the next slide, so we identify 5 main archetypes. I think these are very, very interesting, and they can apply to a lot of countries. So we had in this country a lot of young people who are, let's say, stuck in the box, very ambitious people, but somehow for the culture of the country or the families, they felt they were stuck. They didn't have the possibilities to grow. Then we have some passive loss, those that actually thought there are not enough opportunities and maybe I should do nothing. Then we have my favorite, the self-doubting dreamers. I think myself, I am one of those too, but maybe it's just my opinion. The people who are actually ambitious, but they don't think they have the capabilities to move on. And then we have the ones that are work-life balance seekers, the ones that are ambitious, but actually they want to manage families as well, and the dream spirits, those that want to achieve targets no matter what. Now, I think this is very interesting because it showed that the personas, how we call them, of the youth are very, very different one another. And so the first thing we decided to do with the government is basically to create a platform to discuss with the youth people. If we can go to the next slide, please. So the first thing we have done with them is basically to build a platform that had 4 main blocks. One block was to ensure that the youth could communicate with the government. So to create a dialogue, a channel to make sure that those people who are uncertain, they feel stuck, they have somehow a way to express their needs. Then on the other side, a block was somehow a channel for the government to communicate with the youth, because sometimes it's a matter of awareness. Youth do not know what is the possibility. You don't have role models. You feel stuck, you're ambitious, but you have nobody to look at to understand whether this is me, this is something I could be. And then the last 2 blocks are to absolutely erase the asymmetric informations you may have among people. On one side, youth may not know what is happening, what is going on, what is in for them. And the other thing is that they may not have the connection. So this was, let's say, the first very quick win, let's say, that we were trying to implement. And I think this platform was very important because it allowed us to gather more and more information. And at the end of the project with the government, we identified 5 strategic actions that they have to implement. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So the first thing is channeling the voice of youth. So as we said at the very beginning, the government didn't know their youth. So they didn't know who they were, what their needs were, and so on and so forth. So the very first thing, a very simple platform would allow to gather information, to communicate with the young people. There are so many diverse people with diverse needs. But if you don't communicate, if you don't have a channel information, you don't know. Then secondly, create a governance for the youth agenda, create a youth council, some organizations within the government that would somehow be responsible to lead a youth agenda. If you don't have somebody accountable to do that, of course, it falls through the cracks. Then the third thing I think is very, even more important because it's very actionable. Then what you have, we had them streamline the process for young entrepreneur to somehow build up their enterprises, because of course you have many limits here, and somehow to incentivize youth-led organization. And then the last 2 points that are important in any project, but especially here, are on one side you have to measure, monitor, what is your impact, what you're doing, are you making some progress? So we created a youth index that they could use in order to pulse check how the initiatives were going. And of course, we set a body in order to monitor the fact that the initiatives were implemented. And this is what one example we've done, we we have many more projects, but I think this is interesting to show also how a project that we do also in other businesses work usually. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Very interesting insights. We're nearly at that time, everybody. There were two quotes that came to mind when I was thinking about the two winning candidates, or the two winning prizes. One of them was, if opportunity doesn't knock, create a door. And for the other project, and I'm going to name them in a second, of course, is of course necessity is really is the mother of invention, and we're seeing that more and more within some of the green solutions that we've been discussing and thinking about today. I'd like to thank our colleagues from BCG, UNIDO, and OECD again for wonderful insights. And it is now time to announce the winner of this year's Youth Forum contest. I want to thank everybody who attended today, whether online and virtually, and I think a round of applause for our technical team and the AV team. Very smooth, hybrid worked very well. Very smooth, wonderful, excellent, brilliant. So, here we go. So the 2021 Med Youth Forum winners are Was that enough suspense? Paula Schettani, the potential for cool roof application to improve the energy performance of uninsulated conventional roofs of houses in Kurdistan region of Iraq. We're going to work with him on a shorter title. So a round of applause. And our second winner, but not second place, just joint winner, is Selin Tavtin with vegan leather solutions for a painless green future. They were all wonderful. They were all fantastic. Even the ones that didn't make it to today in person were incredibly interesting. The jury found it very difficult in sort of thinking about where we were. But this was, again, a weighted decision between the live audience and those online and the jury who discussed and engaged earlier in the process. So what I'd like to do is, tomorrow we're going to have the two winners formally awarded with their monetary prizes during the Youth Factor panel at 4:30 p.m. I'd like to invite everybody to the youth panel tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. And before we do our last thank yous and pleasantries, I'd like to invite both of our winners just to say a couple of words. I know you haven't prepared, but any thoughts on how you went through this process, the road forward, or the road ahead rather, and anything else that you'd like to say about your project, your process, and the period to come. We'll start with my colleague, Paula, since you were announced first. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for ISPI, ROMED, and all the attendees. Actually, in 2013, when I got to England to study my master's degree in architecture, I found a kind of a different world of architecture. In Middle East, when I do my bachelor degree in architecture, we just like showing the form of the building, plan of the building, but we do not care anything about the energy consumption and sustainability. When I do my master's degree in the UK, I saw that the environmental sustainability and sustainability in general was the core of the architecture in that country. So it's really changed my mind a lot. And after that, it came to my mind how to improve the energy consumption. And I found that housing is a very important thing to work on, because housing will change the life of the people. If you work on school building, on office building, you only target a little bit like sections of society. But everybody lives in a type of housing, whether that's house, a flat, or something else. But even after that, I was just working on technical aspects. When I applied to the ROMED, I found that besides technical sustainability metrics and things like that, they also focus on business plans. How does it cost? Is it feasible or not? Something that I haven't experienced before in my studies. So I was, at the beginning, when I joined like the events and classes of ROMED, I was like a little bit afraid. I said, I have no background in like marketing and business related and entrepreneurship. How do I understand these things? But thankfully, they show like the easy passes, how to understand it and how to apply it. So it was a very great thing for me personally, and I hope for my society and the communities back in Kurdistan region of Iraq and whole MENA region, because after that, I have a capabilities both in terms of environmental sustainability and economical aspects of implementing projects that are useful for societies and for our environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Paula. We very much look forward to following your path and hearing more about how you're bringing energy consumption down, not only in Kurdistan, but hopefully beyond. I'd now like to invite Selin to also say a few words on the process, her views, her thoughts, and the roadmap ahead. After you.
Thank you very much. I'm so emotional right now, and I really appreciate all of you. And they called us emotional, but it's beyond our emotion, actually. This is our word. And I am as a vegetarian person, and I accept the zero-waste lifestyle, like my lifestyle. This is quite important to me to get this opportunity to create my own business, because at the end of the day, we have to earn our money. But without any damage to world, earning money is a really wonderful thing. And I'm so happy and grateful. And thank you. It's a short speech, but thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Well done. I just passed you. Thank you. Take this off. Well, thank you, everybody, and thanks once again. I thought it was super interesting. Just a sort of mini human experiment, just making this up right now. Just a show of hands. How optimistic, sort of from a scale of 1 to 10, and you can shout, we'll have some creative destruction to use that term. On a scale of 1 to 10, how enthusiastic are you about entrepreneurship in the Mediterranean and MENA? Shout a number, whatever you like. Can't hear you. 10. Is that maybe optimistic? Anybody else? Anybody else? 9, 8, 7, 6? Show of hands. 8 out of 10 for optimism when it comes to entrepreneurship in MENA? As a game changer, perhaps? No? Yes? Show of hands, yes or no? So we have 1 in the whole audience. Very interesting. Very interesting. And finally, we have the Youth Factor panel tomorrow, as I mentioned. We'd like to sort of make this more of a community approach. So beyond today, of course, you know, if we can all sort of stay connected, you don't know what synergies come out of engaging and listening. And I think my colleague who just mentioned, sometimes you have the ideas, but you don't have the operationalization capacities or the ideas around financing and bringing the product or service or idea to market. So I think that's very important going forward. I'd like to end by thanking again our partners, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and of course the supporting partners who just came up earlier on. And last but not least, they were in the background and they've been working on this for a very long time. I'd like to thank, of course, ISPI, but in particular by name, Serena Massimi, Francesco Schiavi, Beatrice Bergamasco, and Elizabeth Gosselin Malo, and in absentia, Forsan Hussein, who could not be with us today, who would have co-moderated, but due to variants and COVID and other matters, but he's sorely missed. And I'm very much looking forward to continuing this process. Please stay engaged. Please create synergies, and please keep us posted on how your products and your services are moving forward to create change and anchored around sustainable development, but also people, planet, prosperity, and the C's of competitiveness, comparative advantage, coordination, and connectivity, among others. Very much looking forward, and thanks again, everybody.